You will win in silence, and they will watch from afar. They don't need to know what you're building. Not yet. Too many people sabotage their own success by talking too much, announcing their goals before they've even begun. They crave applause before they've earned it. But here's the truth. The loudest voices rarely win. It's those who work quietly, relentlessly, and with a focus that rises the highest. Why? Because silence is power. Privacy is protection. And when no one knows your plans, no one can interfere. The Stoics knew this well. That true strength lies in mastering your mind, your emotions, and your actions without seeking approval. Every time you speak too soon, you drain your energy. Every time you explain yourself, you give others power over your focus. So why does silence work? Because when no one knows your next move, they can't sabotage it. When your progress is quiet, you stay free from distractions, criticism, and unwanted expectations. Privacy becomes your greatest advantage, giving you the space to focus, build, and master your craft. In this video, you'll discover why privacy is your greatest weapon, why quiet goals are the most powerful, and how mastering this principle will change your life. If you've been feeling overwhelmed, discouraged, or frustrated by setbacks, this is your moment. It's time to take back your power, to build in silence, and to let your success make the noise. Stay with me, because what's coming next will change how you think, how you act, and how you win. 1. Privacy is your greatest advantage. Most people fail long before they realize it, not because they lack talent, drive, or resources, but because they talk too much. The moment you share your goals, you invite noise. Opinions, doubts, and distractions rush in, and suddenly, your vision isn't as clear as it once was. That's the danger of exposing your plans too early. Every word you speak drains the energy you could have spent taking action. Privacy isn't just about secrecy, it's about control. When you keep your goals private, you stay in command of your timeline. You're free to work at your own pace without the pressure of meeting others' expectations. There's no one asking, "How's it going?" No one waiting for you to prove yourself. And that freedom is powerful. Privacy also protects you from sabotage. Not everyone cheering for you wants you to succeed. Some quietly hope you'll fail because your growth threatens their comfort. Others may offer advice that seems helpful, but only plants seeds of doubt. Their words linger in your mind, clouding your judgment and weakening your resolve. The Stoics understood this. They believed true power lies in controlling what's within your grasp, your thoughts, your actions, your discipline. Sharing your goals hands that control over to others. Their opinions, their doubts, their envy, all of it becomes an invisible force pulling you away from your path. There's a man I know, a neighbor, quiet and unassuming. Let's call him David. For years, David kept to himself. While others bragged about their careers, their new cars, or their grand plans, David rarely spoke about his life. People assumed he wasn't doing much, that he lacked ambition. Then one day, something changed. A sleek black SUV pulled into his driveway. Men in suits stepped out, greeted him with firm handshakes, and walked inside his home. The neighborhood buzzed with curiosity. A week later, a new company was announced, a successful startup that David had quietly built from scratch. Investors were lining up to partner with him. People were stunned. When did this happen, they asked. How did he pull this off? What they didn't know was that while others were talking, David was building. He worked in silence, late nights, early mornings, pouring everything into his vision. He knew that revealing his plans too soon would only slow him down. David once told me, "I never wanted people's opinions to shape my ideas. I didn't need their doubts. I didn't want their advice. I just needed to stay focused." That's the power of privacy. It's not about hiding. It's about protecting what's fragile until it's strong enough to stand on its own. The Stoics believed that true mastery is quiet. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." His message was clear. Stop explaining yourself and start acting. When you guard your progress, you create a mental fortress, one that shields you from unnecessary opinions, from critics, and from those who quietly hope you fail. Think of your goals like a candle in the wind. When your flame is still small, a gust of doubt, a careless comment, a negative remark can extinguish it. But when you build quietly, your flame grows stronger. it becomes fierce, stable, unstoppable. Some will tell you that success demands attention, that you must broadcast your ambitions to gain support. But that's a mistake. Attention is not power. Power is in restraint. The more you protect your plans, the more you control your own destiny. Privacy isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's choosing to let your work mature before you reveal it to the world. It's knowing that when you win in silence, those who doubted you will have no choice but to watch from afar. So ask yourself, what am I building? And more importantly, who needs to know? Because if you're serious about success, if you're committed to mastering your craft, the answer is simple. Almost no one. 2. Speak less, achieve more. Why quiet goals win. People love to talk about their goals. They announce their plans, boast about their ambitions, and describe their future success in vivid detail. It feels good, almost as if they've already achieved something. But that's the trap. Talking about your goals creates an illusion of progress. It tricks your brain into feeling accomplished before you've even started. The moment you speak, your mind rewards you with dopamine, the same chemical that's released when you achieve a real victory. Except this time, you haven't earned it. That false sense of achievement is dangerous. It drains your drive. The more you talk, the less you act. And the longer you stay in that illusion, the harder it becomes to build real momentum. Stoic wisdom warns against this. The Stoics believe that action, not talk, defines progress. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "Do not waste time arguing what a good man should be one." In other words, focus on results, not words. Every time you announce your plans, you expose yourself to judgment. Opinions pour in, some helpful, most harmful. Even well-meaning advice can pull you off track. People suggest shortcuts, offer doubts, or push their own ideas onto your vision. Each new opinion adds noise that clouds your focus and weakens your conviction. More than that, revealing your goals creates pressure. Pressure to perform, to meet expectations, to prove yourself. Instead of working quietly and efficiently, you find yourself racing against imagined deadlines, constantly explaining your progress. But when you stay silent, you stay in control. Quiet goals allow you to move at your own pace. No one expects updates, no one pressures you to finish faster, and no one stands in your way. You can pivot, adjust, or start over without feeling like you failed. Success thrives in silence because silence gives you freedom. Freedom from judgment, freedom from interference, and freedom from the pressure to perform. The Stoics knew this well. They believed in mastering what's within your control, your effort, your discipline, your focus. Sharing your goals places those things at risk. The moment you reveal your ambitions, you give others power. Power to question your choices, challenge your vision, or undermine your belief in yourself. So how do you resist the urge to speak too soon? Start by shifting your mindset. Remind yourself that success isn't about talking, it's about doing. Understand that words are easy, but results are undeniable. Next, create a personal code, a silent rule to protect your progress. Ask yourself, does sharing this move me closer to my goal? If the answer is no, stay silent. When people ask about your plans, resist the impulse to explain. A simple reply, "I'm working on something," is enough. Let your results speak for themselves. This doesn't mean you can't seek advice or guidance, but be selective. Choose mentors who respect your silence and understand the value of quiet progress. Share only with those you trust to encourage your growth, not pressure you to prove yourself. Most importantly, train your mind to crave the real reward, the feeling of genuine accomplishment. Replace the habit of talking with the habit of doing. When you achieve something meaningful, you won't need to say a word. The people who once doubted you will see your success unfold, and they'll wonder how you did it. The greatest victories happen quietly. The most powerful breakthroughs come from silent effort. While others are busy talking, you're building. While they seek approval, you're gaining mastery. When you learn to speak less, you achieve more. Not because silence itself is magic, but because it forces you to focus. It protects your energy, and it turns your ambition into action. In the end, those who talk the loudest rarely win. It's those who move quietly, purposefully, and without distraction who achieve the most. Speak less, build more. Let your results make the noise. 3. Win for yourself, not for applause. Most people live their lives performing, chasing applause, approval, and recognition. They measure their success by how others react, believing that validation defines their worth. But when you live for applause, you become a prisoner to it. Every achievement feels hollow unless someone's watching. Every success feels incomplete unless someone notices. Slowly, your focus shifts from building something meaningful to showing that you've built something. That's the trap. When your motivation is fueled by attention, you become addicted to it. Instead of working for mastery, you work for applause. And when that applause fades, and it always does, so does your drive. The Stoics warned against this. They believed true fulfillment comes from internal mastery, not external praise. When you rely on applause, you tie your emotions to things beyond your control. You become reactive, celebrating when others approve and doubting yourself when they don't. But when you shift your focus inward, when you stop chasing recognition and start chasing growth, everything changes. There's a man I know named Richard. Years ago, Richard had a passion for woodworking. He didn't just enjoy it, he was gifted. His attention to detail, his patience, his precision, everything he built was exceptional. But instead of quietly mastering his craft, Richard became obsessed with showing his progress. He'd post every project online, chasing likes and comments. He'd rush to finish pieces just to impress his audience. And when those reactions didn't come, when people stopped noticing, he lost motivation. He stopped building. He convinced himself that if no one was watching, his work didn't matter. For 2 years, Richard barely touched his tools. His passion faded. Not because he lost interest, but because he had tied his craft to the approval of others. Then something changed. One afternoon, he started working on a custom bookshelf. No cameras, no audience, no updates. He worked in silence, focusing purely on the craft. For weeks, he built without distraction. And when he finished, he didn't post it online. He didn't show it to anyone. He simply stood back, looked at his work, and felt proud. That's when Richard realized something powerful. His satisfaction didn't depend on applause. His work had value because he valued it. When you win for yourself, when you build, grow, and improve without seeking recognition, you unlock something powerful. Freedom. You free yourself from the constant pressure to impress others. You free yourself from the emotional roller coaster of public approval. Instead of performing, you focus on progress. Instead of seeking praise, you pursue mastery. And instead of proving others wrong, you prove yourself right. This mindset is what makes progress sustainable. People who crave attention burn out. They push themselves to impress, constantly seeking the next round of applause. But those who build for themselves, quietly, consistently, stay motivated. Their growth isn't fueled by recognition, it's fueled by purpose. Ask yourself this: would you still chase your goals if no one ever knew about them? If the answer is yes, if you would still build, still grow, still push forward without anyone noticing, that's when you know you're on the right path. Win quietly, grow in silence. Master your craft because it matters to you, not because you need others to see it. Your greatest victories won't need an audience, because when you win for yourself, that's all the validation you'll ever need. 4. Guard your progress like a fortress. Success doesn't fail because of effort. It fails because of exposure. The moment you open your plans to the world, you invite interference. People start asking questions, offering opinions, and giving advice you never asked for. Suddenly, what once felt clear and focused becomes clouded with doubt. Even well-meaning people can weaken your resolve. Friends who genuinely want you to succeed may unintentionally plant seeds of uncertainty. They ask, "Are you sure this will work?" Or, "Wouldn't it be safer to try something else?" Those words linger in your mind, eating away at your confidence. Worse still are the people who quietly hope you'll fail, the ones who smile in front of you but whisper behind your back. Their doubts aren't always spoken directly. Sometimes it's subtle, a passing comment, a raised eyebrow, a lingering pause that leaves you questioning yourself. That's why your progress must be guarded. Not hidden out of fear, but protected out of wisdom. The Stoics believed that what's fragile must be strengthened before it's revealed. Just like a young tree needs time to grow sturdy roots before facing storms, your progress must mature before it's exposed to the winds of criticism, doubt, and envy. When you speak too soon, you risk allowing others to influence your path. Their skepticism can seep into your mind, pulling you away from your original vision. Worse still, some people won't just doubt you, they'll deliberately try to undermine you. Jealousy has a quiet way of turning well-intentioned people into quiet saboteurs. That's why guarding your progress is more than just silence, it's strategy. It's about choosing who you allow into your inner circle. Not everyone deserves access to your ambitions. Before you share your plans, ask yourself, does this person genuinely want me to succeed? If you hesitate, stay silent. If their words tend to discourage rather than empower, protect your progress by keeping it private. Guarding your goals doesn't mean cutting people off. It means being selective. Share only with those who encourage your growth without imposing their fears onto you. Seek guidance from those who understand your vision, not from those who try to reshape it. More importantly, understand that not everyone needs to know what you're building. Some people overshare their goals not because they need advice, but because they crave attention. They want validation before they've earned it. But that's a dangerous habit. Sharing your progress too early creates a false sense of achievement. You feel like you're moving forward, when in reality, you're still standing still. The Stoics believe that true strength comes from self-control, the ability to resist impulses that weaken you. Guarding your progress is an act of control. It's choosing to focus on doing rather than talking. When you protect your ambitions, you stay clear-headed. You move quietly, without the burden of expectations or the weight of others' opinions. This isn't isolation, it's independence. It's knowing that your path belongs to you alone, and no one else's doubts should dictate your pace. So resist the urge to explain yourself. When people ask about your plans, give them less. A simple reply like, "I'm working on something important," is enough. You don't owe anyone a detailed roadmap to your success. Instead of announcing your progress, let it unfold naturally. When you finally succeed, when your results speak for themselves, those who doubted you will have no choice but to recognize what you've built. And when they ask how you did it, you won't need to explain, because the answer will already be clear. You built quietly, you built wisely, and you built without distraction. Your progress is your responsibility. Guard it like a fortress, strong, silent, and unshakable. 5. Ditch the need for approval. Focus on mastery. Most people aren't working for success, they're working for attention. They pour their energy into proving themselves, hoping someone will notice. They rush to showcase their progress, craving applause. And when that applause doesn't come or fades too quickly, they feel lost. That's the danger of seeking approval. It pulls your focus away from the work itself and places it on the reactions of others. Instead of mastering your craft, you become obsessed with impressing people. And no matter how hard you try, their approval will never be enough. The moment you rely on applause to feel accomplished, you give away your power. Now your confidence depends on something you can't control. The shifting opinions of people who may not even understand your journey. That's what happened to Richard. He wasn't just passionate about woodworking, he was exceptional at it. His skill was rare, his patience unmatched. But instead of pursuing mastery, he began chasing validation. He turned his workshop into a stage, sharing every new project online. At first, the likes and comments came quickly. People admired his craftsmanship. But over time, attention faded. The praise slowed, and without that steady flow of approval, Richard's motivation disappeared. He convinced himself that if no one was watching, his work didn't matter. But mastery doesn't happen in the spotlight. It's built in the quiet, through hours of effort that no one sees. Real growth doesn't need an audience. It doesn't depend on applause. It thrives in silence, where the only person you're competing with is the one in the mirror. When Richard finally stepped away from social media, something changed. He started working again, not to impress anyone, but because he loved the craft itself. No cameras, no updates, just quiet focus. And in that silence, his skill improved, his creativity sharpened, his patience returned. The work itself became the reward. The Stoics believed that true fulfillment comes from within, from knowing you gave your best effort, whether anyone notices or not. They taught that mastery isn't built on applause but on repetition, resilience, and quiet discipline. When you stop chasing approval, you gain control. You no longer waste energy performing for others. You no longer feel pressured to meet someone else's timeline. And most importantly, you break free from the exhausting cycle of doubt that comes when you rely on praise to feel successful. Approval is addictive. The rush of being noticed feels rewarding, but it's empty. It's a fleeting hit of dopamine that vanishes as fast as it comes. And when that rush fades, you're left feeling worse than before. Like your progress only mattered because someone else saw it. But mastery? Mastery is different. It's slow. It's demanding. It requires long hours of effort that no one applauds. And that's what makes it powerful. Because when you build something quietly, without seeking approval, you know you've earned it. So stop chasing validation. Stop measuring your progress by how much praise you receive. Ask yourself, if no one knew about my success, if no one ever saw what I built, would I still do it? If the answer is yes, you're on the right path. When you focus on mastery, you become stronger. Your motivation no longer depends on applause. Your confidence no longer rises and falls with the opinions of others. You build because it matters to you. And the best part? When you master your craft in silence, people notice anyway. Not because you chase their attention, but because your results are too powerful to ignore. That's the power of quiet mastery. It's steady, it's undeniable, and it's built for you, not for applause. Ask yourself, am I working for approval or for mastery? Because the moment you choose mastery, you've already started winning. 6. Energy is power. Don't waste it explaining yourself. Energy is your most valuable resource, and yet most people waste it. They waste it arguing with critics. They waste it justifying their choices. They waste it explaining themselves to people who are never going to understand. The more you explain yourself, the more power you give away. Every conversation spent defending your decisions drains your mental strength. Strength that should be spent on progress. People often mistake over-explaining for productivity. They believe that by convincing others, they're moving forward. But in reality, they're only exhausting themselves. Explaining feels productive because it gives you a brief sense of control. It feels like you're proving something, like you're protecting your ideas. But the truth is, most people aren't listening to understand, they're listening to argue. When you try to justify your choices, you invite opinions. You open the door for doubts, criticism, and negativity. The more you talk, the more you expose yourself, and not everyone listening wants you to succeed. The Stoics warned against this. They believed that power lies in restraint, in focusing only on what's within your control. And what's in your control? Your effort, your discipline, your results. You don't owe explanations to people who haven't earned a place in your journey. Not everyone deserves to know what you're working on or why you're doing it. The moment you feel the urge to explain, stop. Ask yourself, will this conversation move me closer to my goal? If the answer is no, stay silent and keep building. Explanations don't change your reality. Action does. Instead of convincing others you're on the right path, focus on walking it. Some people explain themselves out of fear, afraid of being misunderstood, afraid of criticism, afraid of judgment. But fear invites weakness. Every time you let someone's doubt pull you into a debate, you lose momentum. The greatest strength lies in silence, in moving forward without distraction. The more you focus on progress, the less you'll feel the need to explain. When you master this, something powerful happens. People start to wonder. They become curious. They question why you're quiet, why you're calm, why you're no longer seeking approval. That silence unsettles them. It forces them to watch instead of listen. And when they finally see your results, when they witness what you've built, your silence will say more than words ever could. Explaining yourself doesn't prove you're right. Your results do. Critics can argue with your words, but they can't argue with what you've built. If someone doubts you, let them. If they question your decisions, ignore them. Focus on building something so undeniable that their opinions become irrelevant. There's a reason powerful people speak less. It's not arrogance, it's efficiency. They know that their energy is precious, and they refuse to waste it on conversations that don't matter. The Stoics believed that energy spent explaining is energy lost. Instead, they practiced control over their words, their emotions, and their focus. Every time you stop to defend yourself, you pause your momentum. You step away from progress to explain something that doesn't need explaining. Resist that impulse. Keep your focus where it belongs, on what you're building, on who you're becoming, and on the path you're walking. You don't need to justify your decisions. You don't need to explain your progress. And you don't need to convince anyone of your worth. Your work will speak for itself. So the next time you're tempted to explain, ask yourself, does this conversation make me stronger? If it doesn't, stay silent and let your results make the noise. 7. Let your results make the noise. The loudest voices often have the least to show. People who constantly talk about their ambitions rarely follow through. They announce their plans with pride, yet months later, nothing has changed. Their words were loud, but their actions were silent. Success doesn't need to shout. Real achievement speaks for itself. When you focus on results instead of recognition, you gain power. No one can question what they can clearly see. No one can argue with results that are undeniable. The Stoics understood this. They believed in mastering what's within your control, your discipline, your effort, your progress. And the best way to prove your mastery? By letting your actions reveal it. Talking about your goals feels rewarding, but it's an illusion. The praise you receive for your intentions can trick you into believing you've accomplished something. The mind releases dopamine, the same chemical that rewards genuine achievement, and in that false satisfaction, your motivation fades. That's why silence is powerful. When you resist the urge to announce your plans, you force yourself to rely on real progress for fulfillment, not empty words. Each step forward becomes a quiet victory, strengthening your resolve. When you let your results speak for themselves, people pay attention, not because you demanded it, but because they can't ignore what you've built. I once knew a man named Marcus. He was different from everyone else in our circle, quieter, more reserved. While others talked about their ambitions, Marcus stayed silent. People assumed he lacked ambition, that he wasn't serious about success. But Marcus didn't waste energy explaining himself. He didn't defend his path or seek approval. He just worked, quietly, consistently, relentlessly. Then, one evening at a gathering, something surprising happened. Marcus arrived driving a sleek, high-end car, the kind no one expected him to afford. People were stunned. Some congratulated him, others asked how he did it. Marcus smiled and said just one thing: "I've been working on something." That's all. No long explanation, no speech about sacrifice or hard work. His results said everything that needed to be said. That's the power of silent progress. When you build quietly, your success becomes undeniable. Those who doubted you, those who questioned your path, are left speechless. The Stoics believed that true strength comes from self-mastery. They taught that your efforts, not your words, define your worth. When you focus on results, you stop seeking approval. You stop wasting energy defending your choices. You stop explaining why your path makes sense, because eventually, your results will make it obvious. People may question your silence at first. They may assume you're failing, that you've given up. Let them think that. Let their curiosity build. Because when they finally see what you've accomplished, when they witness what you've built in silence, they'll have no choice but to respect it. And by that point, their opinions won't matter. You won't need their approval. You won't need their applause. You'll know that what you've built is real, not because you told them, but because they can see it for themselves. That's what makes silent achievement so powerful. When you speak less and focus on progress, your energy stays where it belongs, on building, growing, and improving. Instead of chasing validation, you chase mastery. Instead of proving others wrong, you prove yourself right. And when the results appear, they speak for you. Let your work be your statement. Let your discipline be your proof. Let your results make the noise. 8. Stop proving them wrong. Start proving yourself right. Most people waste their energy trying to prove others wrong. They pour their time, focus, and effort into convincing doubters that they're capable. They treat success like a performance, not for themselves, but for those who once underestimated them. It's exhausting, And worse, it's pointless. When you focus on proving others wrong, you give them power. You allow their doubts to shape your path. Instead of building for your own growth, you build to satisfy someone else's opinion. That's a dangerous trap, because no matter how much you achieve, there will always be someone who isn't impressed. Always someone who questions your choices. Always someone waiting for you to fail. And if you measure success by their reaction, you'll never feel satisfied. Even your greatest victories will feel hollow, because deep down, you weren't building for yourself. The Stoics warned against this. They believed that true strength comes from within, from knowing your worth without needing others to confirm it. When you shift your focus away from proving people wrong and start proving yourself right, everything changes. Now your progress isn't about impressing others. It's about becoming the person you know you're capable of being. Your victories aren't driven by revenge, they're driven by purpose. That mindset is powerful. It frees you from the burden of comparison. It stops you from obsessing over what others think. And most importantly, it keeps your focus where it belongs, on growth. People who live to prove others wrong burn out quickly. Their energy is spent on chasing validation, a pursuit that never ends. Even when they succeed, they don't feel peace, because their motivation was never rooted in purpose. But those who focus on proving themselves right, they become unstoppable. They aren't driven by anger. They aren't distracted by doubters. They build quietly, consistently, and without noise. And when they win, when their results finally appear, it's undeniable. Not because they proved anyone wrong, but because their growth speaks for itself. Imagine two athletes preparing for a marathon. One trains to silence his critics, pushing himself just to prove others wrong. The other trains to test his limits, to see what he's capable of achieving. On race day, the first runner is tense. He's consumed by thoughts of revenge, focused on who's watching, who's doubting, who's waiting to see him fail. The second runner is calm. His mind is clear. He knows that no matter the outcome, he's already won, because he's proven to himself that he refused to quit. That's the difference. One is chasing approval. The other is chasing growth. When you build to prove yourself right, you win no matter what happens. Because success isn't defined by applause, it's defined by effort. It's the quiet satisfaction of knowing you showed up, you pushed forward, and you gave your best. The Stoics believe that peace comes from detachment, from letting go of the need to impress others. When you detach from their opinions, you gain freedom. Freedom to work in silence, to fail without fear, and to succeed without needing applause. So stop explaining. Stop defending. Stop proving them wrong. Instead, focus entirely on proving yourself right. Work in silence. Build without distraction. And trust that your results will speak for themselves. Not because you're trying to silence critics, but because you're determined to become the best version of yourself. The people who doubted you will see your progress, but by that point, their opinion won't matter. Because you'll know the truth, that your success wasn't built for them. It was built for you. 9. The quiet path to unstoppable success. The strongest foundations are built in silence. Most people believe success requires noise, constant updates, public milestones, and endless announcements. But that's a distraction. The more you talk about your progress, the less energy you spend building it. Real success doesn't need to be broadcast. It's created quietly, through unseen effort, private discipline, and relentless consistency. The Stoics believed that true achievement is rarely loud. They knew that the greatest victories are forged in moments no one sees, in the late nights, the early mornings, the quiet hours spent refining your craft. The world celebrates results, but those results are built long before anyone notices. They're built when you resist the temptation to show off and focus entirely on improving yourself. Every time you choose silence over noise, you strengthen your advantage. When no one knows what you're working on, no one can interfere. No one can sabotage your efforts. No one can distract you with doubts or derail you with their opinions. Silence protects your focus. It frees you from the pressure of public expectations. While others scramble to impress their audience, you're building something stronger. Something that doesn't rely on applause. And here's the truth. Quiet progress always outlasts noisy achievement. People who chase attention burn out quickly. They rush to showcase their wins, craving recognition. But in that rush, they skip steps, they cut corners, they sacrifice mastery for speed, and their results rarely last. But those who build in silence take a different path. They focus on the long game. Instead of chasing quick results, they commit to steady growth. They embrace discipline, knowing that true mastery isn't built overnight. It's built over time. This mindset gives you an edge. While others are distracted by chasing trends and seeking approval, you're moving steadily forward. Each step may seem small, but together they build unstoppable momentum. The Stoics believed this quiet, disciplined progress was the key to lasting success. They understood that real power doesn't come from noise, it comes from resilience. The greatest minds, the ones who leave a lasting impact, are rarely the loudest voices in the room. They aren't busy explaining their progress or announcing their goals. They're too focused on building something meaningful. When you walk the quiet path, you protect your energy. Instead of wasting it justifying your choices, you invest it in growth. Instead of seeking applause, you focus on results. And when your results finally appear, when your progress is undeniable, those who doubted you won't know what hit them. But by that point, their opinions won't matter. Because success built in silence doesn't need approval. It stands on its own. So resist the urge to announce every step. Resist the temptation to explain your plans. Instead, focus entirely on your craft and let your results speak when the time is right. Because when you choose the quiet path, when you build with focus, patience, and purpose, you become unstoppable. Not because people are watching, but because no one can stop what they never saw coming. Success isn't defined by noise. It's shaped by discipline, focus, and quiet persistence. The greatest victories aren't announced. They unfold silently, built on moments of unseen effort and unwavering dedication. When you embrace silence, you protect your energy. Instead of wasting time explaining yourself, you channel that strength into your growth. Instead of chasing approval, you focus on mastery. Instead of proving others wrong, you prove yourself right. This path isn't easy. It requires patience, the ability to resist the temptation to seek attention, and trust that your results will speak when the time is right. But those who master this discipline gain an extraordinary advantage. They move without distraction. They build without interference. And when they succeed, their achievements are undeniable. Not because they shouted, but because their results cannot be ignored. The Stoics understood this. They knew that true power comes from controlling your mind, mastering your emotions, and focusing on what's within your control. So begin today. Choose silence over noise. Focus on the work, not the applause. Strengthen your craft, sharpen your skills, and commit to building something meaningful, even when no one is watching. Because in the end, real success doesn't need validation. When you build with quiet discipline, your results will make the noise, and those who once doubted you will have no choice but to watch from afar. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever achieved something incredible by working in silence? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience may inspire someone else to trust the quiet path and discover that true success comes not from being seen, but from becoming strong enough that you can't be ignored.